Okay, this is day 152, part three, and I've done a series on SES, the Senior Executive Service. And what I believe in is not just saying, oh, well, there's 3,200 people that feel bad and contrite on their heart. We've won the day. Let's stop doing compound searches. Let's stop doing individual profiles of these different people in the Senior Executive Service. The people that start from being cops in China Lake to police chiefs in China Lake to doing security down at the Navy Yard, and all of a sudden now they're the CIO for the Bureau of Printing and Engraving, and they have this connection to Nav Air. Okay, so that's why I go to this level of looking at connections of, oh, these Tomahawk cruise missiles are shared between Nav Air here in Pax River and Nav Air at China Lake. That's the other side of this guy named Ahmad, and yes, he's got a name. His name was Butler. Maybe he changed to being Muslim, but his wife's name Moore. She didn't change her name. She works for a company called Elan Pharmaceuticals out of Dublin. They make this anti-Alzheimer's drug, an anti-Crohn's disease drug, anti-multiple sclerosis drug. It just reminds me of the Levy situation where there was a corollary Levy up in Long Island that had all these Lamborghinis, Porsches, and Mercedes-Benz. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying when you get 7, 8, 9, 10 houses that are $1 million houses, then you start raising eyebrows. The SES starts looking like sort of a CIA's infiltration into into our lawmakers and government servants and creation of a deep state. That's what I'm saying. So then I look at things like proximity analysis this morning, this great mills over here to NavAir and how MedStar seems to track them and so forth. But what I want to focus on is creating avalanches. Very simple information requests that could create an avalanche of information. One of the things I looked up in the book here this morning, which is the Plum book, was for Levy, and I didn't find him, and I didn't find Ahmad either. These are kind of hidden. These are hidden jobs. But one thing that is in here is the inspector generals for creating avalanches. So I'm constantly focused on what's the next rock to remove to create an avalanche of information. And if you remember, there was 3 people here last March, about the same time Hina Alvi leaves with Imran Awan, and they are working with the Inspector General, a very close relationship with the Inspector General, and the Inspector General case management system is hacked. Now, we know the SES has put in all these new Inspector Generals, these 25 new Inspector Generals, as a way of almost capping and putting a lid on all these investigations. This is the first place I would go to look to create an avalanche of information, of public information that should be public already. So again, we have to put a fire under John Roth. Again, Trump could just release this information, who those 3 individuals are, and we would immediately have an avalanche of information. It's the same reason I did this morning rather than just saying House staffers and so forth. The reason why I drilled down to the 20 people is if you publish who the 20 people are, press will have ability to ask questions. Just say who the 20 people are that were involved in the burglary on the inauguration, and we'll create this avalanche of information. Okay, we'll know what kind of Blackberries, what kind of laptops, what kind of servers, where the offices were, etc. Same thing with the State Department emails, the 20 State Department emails. Trump could easily just reveal those, and immediately we'd have a map of all those people who are involved in potentially a cover-up and subverting United States system for negotiating foreign affairs. Okay, very simple things that create avalanches of information. When I searched on Inspector General, I didn't find Ahmad, I didn't find Levy in the Plum book, but I did find Lisa Monaco, and it looks like she's coming up through the Homeland Security as another route, other than DOD and DOJ, as a way to get to the SES. She's not SES yet. Here's Elaine Duke. This is a person that Trump appointed at the DHS. Now Kristen Nielsen runs it. But again, she is at the senior level, not SES. I tend to trust her more than I do SES. I see SES as beholden to someone else. Here's an interesting profile, and I like looking at people on their way up and looking at the patterns, sort of like looking at Bill Clinton being a Rhodes Scholar before, coming into the presidential ranks. And he's at this place in Falls Church, Virginia, and I'm not going to say that's a CIA hangout, but it looks like a think tank CIA hangout, this answer, drop the W, and CIA likes to swizzle. So let's look at how he got to Washington, okay? Well, he was a field director for Obama for America. Great. Obama won. Victor goes the spoils. Went to Organizing for America. I'm not saying Andrew Theriault has anything to do with this. I'm not saying DeFango has anything to do with Organizing for America. But it does seem to be a place for kind of a Cambridge Analytics type of micro-targeting of voters and so forth. But that leads to a Department of Defense fellowship. This is sort of, I would consider, like a Rhodes Scholarship that Bill Clinton had into the DoD, and he's on the road now to becoming into the SES. I believe this type of resume is going there. And now here in Washington, you're either an assistant or a deputy assistant if you're anybody, right? And again, he is now on his way going up toward the Secretary of Defense in his approach on the SES system. Now, if these DoD people, DOJ people, and DHS people are infiltrating the SES with a kind of an SS, we have to identify that early on. We can't just say 3,200 people feel bad and now they're contrite and now we're going to stop drilling down. We can't. We have to go down and drill down. Now, we look at this kind of company, and it's kind of a reaction company to deplorables, how to mobilize different teams and so forth, FEMA teams and et cetera, to cut down on a civil insurrection, terrorist incidents, and so forth. Okay, looking further, here's Mayorkas, another guy I found in the Inspector General's type office, Wilmer Hale. This is Bob Mueller's law firm. All the people go out to get Trump doing the soft coup are from Wilmer Hale. Again, kind of coming up through the DHS ranks toward SES. Not there yet. Here's another person that came up under Inspector General. Again, Aaron Walls, Georgetown University, coming up through the ranks at DoD. This is ARPA, right? We all know Defense DARPA, ARPA, right? Advanced Research Projects Agency, but it looks like they've created a corollary here at Homeland Security to create yet more entry into the SES service, which I call the SS, this little inner core. Okay, so these are the things I look at. So I start looking at all these things as milestone. Who are the defense fellows? Who is coming up through HS ARPA? Who is coming up through these different DoD type cutouts, these different CIA type cutouts, okay? And that is how you drill down. You do modus operandi, you look at key indicators and signatures to then asking questions and filing for information, knowing what to ask for in discovery, knowing what to ask for in interrogatories, knowing the questions to ask at press releases, knowing the information to look for in those great compound searches on Google. It's not enough to say I'm a contrite SES member and that's it. We need to stop looking. We need to continue doing our Google compound searches.